What's going on, guys? I have Ninja Turtles Battle Nexus #1. And so just what we're getting here is think of it as like a kid playing with all of their little action figures and smashing them together, because you notice Shredder here on the cover. He's in black and white. Well, we will see him later, and yeah, he's in black and white in the in this comic as well. And I do believe that we are looking at the comic version from like the first Ninja Turtle series from back in the 80s. That's his iteration. We also see Slash, new character Ninjara, and Metalhead, who is not in this, so I think we're spoiling this a little bit, but you know, that's fine. He'll probably be in the second issue, so it's not that big of a spoiler. So, now we have several writers in on this, like Tom Waltz and Sophie Campbell. I'll just kind of leave all of that in there. You can take a look and see who all is involved. But otherwise, I'm just gonna move on. There's a lot of names there. I don't want to go over every single person. I just mentioned Tom and Sophie just because they were huge, largely involved in the previous comic series started back in like 2011 or whatnot. So we're looking at Battle Nexus here. We have an unknown narrator just kind of filling us in as to what's what. This is the Battle Nexus. It lives out, is in a realm outside of time and space, and this was something that like slaves were forced to fight for the entertainment. But later, our dimensional console over here, by kind of being overseen by Lord Simultaneous, they're recruiting people to come in and do this, and it's a great honor to be involved in this and things like that. And we're being told that all of that is about to end. So now something I do want to make note of. This, I guess, gladiator, if you will, his axe is backwards, and I'm not certain as to why. Yes, this end can still do damage. However, you got several opponents out there. I think jabbing somebody and having the potential of your axe being stuck is a little odd. Now, I'm assuming that they're not actually killing one another. Think like the 2003 Ninja Turtle series. We dealt with the Battle Nexus in that as well. And should a death blow be dealt, you got just completely warped out of there and into like out of a disqualification zone, so to speak. And I'm assuming that's what we're dealing with here. I'm not 100% certain. We're going to see as time goes on, but it does look to be like that. A lot of the rules kind of are a bit similar there. So I'm pointing out this backwards axe because it's not going to be the only time we see something backwards where it's a little goofy looking. Nitpick to be certain, has no bearing on the rest of the story, but it's just something I noticed that kind of made me go, that's a little odd. So we cut to present day New York, and now where we're at in the timeline. So we're doing the current continuity of the Ninja Turtles. We have Donnie's metal shell there. Leo's got his scar on his eye. And Donnie is still looking a little thinner than issue, 13, 14? Where I made note of him looking a little beefier. So I do believe that this is before they see Splinter. However, we see Bebop and Rocksteady over here. They're no longer guarding Karai's door. So I do believe Splinter is alive, and they just have yet to encounter him as the Ujigame or have any knowledge of him being alive. So I believe that's where we're at right after Hail and all that. So I could be wrong, but I think that's where we're currently at. So like I said, they're fighting with Bebop and Rocksteady, and they're having a hell of a time. They're just out there throwing all sorts of stuff, and our narrator is letting us know that they're not a fully cohesive team quite yet, and they're kind of out of sorts from all the time that they've spent away from one another, and having Splinter dead and all this, and they're struggling to fight Bebop and Rocksteady. And here's another one of those backwards weapons. It might be a little bit harder, but Leo's katana over here, the sharp end is facing towards him, where the blunt end is facing away. That's just, I have no idea why you would ever want to do that, because especially with like Bebop and Rocksteady, they're big guys. They can just push a blade right into Leo's face. Like that's a very bizarre thing to do. And again, nitpicky, because it's really not going to play any kind of consequences going forward. But that's just very odd. And I just do want to take a little bit of time to kind of just look at all of our characters. I think Bebop and Rocksteady, they look great. The Turtles, they're not my favorite design, but I'm still A-okay with it. Again, I'm not a big fan of the like the elongated head like a human. They still have that round head. It's not my most favorite design. I like other ones. It's somewhere kind of in the middle for me. Like, I'm not offended by any means of it. It's definitely serviceable. It's just not exactly my favorite. I also not huge on. We see all these shots with Raph and his size, and the way that it's depicted. Now, I understand he's supposed to be holding the size in between his fingers and all that, but it just kind of makes him look more like Wolverine, like the size coming out of his hand, rather than just his hand forming around the side. That is adjusted more here. This actually is a pretty decent shot of it, where it actually looks proper. And I get it's going to be kind of hard to show that right. And my camera's not doing a good job justifying what I'm trying to explain. It really just kind of looks more like it's coming out here rather than in here. So just some very big nitpicks here. By big, I mean like they're just teeny tiny little nitpicks. Let me rephrase that. So a quick break ensues, and the Turtles are like, what are you guys doing? And Bebop and Rocksteady are like, us? You came attacking us, and we're just trying to enjoy a meal. Meanwhile, the restaurant owner's like, no, you guys are trying to shake me down for some insurance, some insurance money, mom mentality kind of thing. Like, man, it'd be an awful shame if something were to happen. You should pay us to make sure it stays protected. That kind of deal. For which the Turtles are like, I'm pretty sure Karai frowns upon that. It'd be a real shame if she were to hear about that. And meanwhile, we see in the background a green a warp tunnel kind of thing that appears behind the Turtles, and you can see some dialogue being spoken. And I can tell you one of these is Renette. I do believe we're hearing from that, especially with the dialogue. And the other, I'm not gonna say quite yet, but I'm sure you can guess at this point. So, so Bebop's and Rocksteady like, you would go and snitch to us? Well, the old saying, snitches get stitches. Just then, that's when the people on the other side of the little dimensional portal here, they go ahead and grab all the Turtles, and they all disappear, and Bebop and Rocksteady took it as them just being cowards. Like, what a bunch of wimps. They really took us seriously on this snitches get stitches. So the Turtles get warped over, and then they land in the Battle Nexus. They're not quite sure of where they are yet, but Donnie does start to get a funny feeling like, hey, this place looks familiar, but it feels wrong. And before they can really figure it all out, they are told over here to go ahead and just set down their weapons. And this is where we get introduced to Ninjara. And she tells them, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And Raph is like, yeah, I'm not putting my weapons down. And she's like, wrong answer. And then proceeds to beat up all 4 Turtles. And I gotta say, I'm going to give this as much charity as humanly possible, but it is it just starts to become kind of dull when I see a new female character and she just immediately takes care of all of our beloved heroes or villains. In the case of Shredder, I've talked about how much I did not like the Mourner doing that, because now it's like I see an opponent, she's a woman, or still a female in the case of this one, and I just know that she's going to easily defeat like the heroes, or our protagonist, shall we say. And so it just kind of becomes dull because I'm like, yep, okay, I see her, here she goes. Now again, I'm going to be as charitable as I can and suggest that maybe she is able to do this. It does look like she has some speed, not to mention the turtles just came out of like a interdimensional portal, and kind of out of sorts, and we already established that they're not exactly working cohesively, and we're already struggling with Bebop and Rocksteady. So I'm being as charitable as I can. It's just a thing I really wish that they start to adjust. You want to put in a new character, fine, but does every single one of them have to beat up with ease all of our beloved characters? It's just dull, it's lame, it's boring. So, again, being as charitable as I can, I just wanted to air out that grievance. Maybe I'm being a little harsh on Ninjara here. Time will tell. And, again, she dispatches everybody, and then she is stopped. And that is where we come across. Okay, let me see if I can pronounce this correctly. I always struggle with his name. Savante. She tells him that's enough. Ninjara goes off, and the turtle's like, "Oh, hey, I know that guy." And then Mikey gives like some goofy name, Romeo Sombrero, and Savante he gets all offended, and it's like, "Come on, man, seriously." I also want to call to something real quick. I forgot to mention this. So Savante, as they were pulling in the turtles, he makes note to not pull in these other Bebop and Rocksteady, because he's already dealt with them before. And funny enough, where I'm at in the original series is actually just after the whole escapades with them, with Bebop and Rocksteady teaming up with Savante and just wreaking all sorts of havoc in the like multi-dimensions and time and all that. That was a fun little series. And it's kind of a fun little callback there. So, moving on. And so Donnie's like, okay, well, if Savante's here, where's Renette? For which Savante gives like a little nudge over to Ninjara. Is like, see, across all of the multi-dimensions and all that shit, the purple one's always the smart one. For which left Donnie kind of bewildered as to what the hell he was talking about there. Savante then welcomes everybody to the new and improved Battle Nexus. And basically he's going to use this as a means to become like the Time Lord kind of deal. You know the drill when it comes to Savante. He wants control over time and space kind of deal. And he says that there's like 3 annoyances that always get in his way. 1 being the turtles, 2 being this council with Lord Simultaneous. He had a particular issue with him there. And then finally, Renette. There we have Renette finally. We finally get to see her, and she is seated and chained up and all that fun stuff. And he's like, I will, finally get rid of all of you guys, and I'm going to do so with the help of the previous champion, and that being Slash, who just says hello. And apparently he had died in the other series. Now, I had not gotten to that part yet, so that spoiled it a little bit. Oh well, I'm going to get there eventually. I'm reading it by volume, so I'm like I said, I just got through the Bebop Rocksteady time crisis deal. So whatever. Leo's just like, what have you done to him? And Savante pulls Maz Kanata is like, a great story for another time. And hopefully we actually get that story as to what happened, may or may not have happened to Slash. And we don't just kind of bury that and don't answer those questions. So Savante then says that Leo's going to be the first one to start and grabs everybody, sits them down, and handcuffs them. And Leo's like, well, I'm not going to fight my friend, referring to Slash. And that's where we get another voice that says, you're not fighting Slash or the Slash monster creature. You are fighting me. And that is where we get the Shredder. Definitely looks like it's inspired by multiple things. So definitely the 80s comic where we first get our introduction to Shredder. Kind of also looks like the 87 cartoon in a way. But that pose, I feel that the pose is very much from the old 80s, 90s action figure. And I actually do have one that I'm referencing. So I think we are looking very similar to this. I do believe that that is done intentionally. Now mine is without a shirt. Mine I picked up mine at a antique store, so mine's incomplete. But I think the overall gist is there that that is done as kind of like nodding to that old Shredder figure there. And that is the end of the first issue of Battle Nexus. There's really nothing that stood out to me as far as anything more than a nitpick. Like I said, I aired out my grievance on, the new female characters always beating up our established, characters, whether they be villain or hero. And then just the weird backwards weapon thing. That just really didn't. I have no idea why those were done, but that's all nitpicky stuff. So I would say that this is at least a good 9 out of 10 series so far. I mean, this is issue 1. How we're messing with things, I can't think of anything that would really screw it up at this point. So this is a pretty good, strong start. And I do have issue 2. I'm going to get to that once I get through some of the others. Because I just like to spread them all out and kind of keep everything going. So I'm not going to get right into Battle Nexus issue 2. I will get to that here in the near future. But so far, so good. And I'm looking forward to seeing Metalhead join. Because, like I said, that got spoiled. Maybe he's not even in there at all. And the cover's just fucking with me. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see his introduction soon enough. We've seen everybody else that is on this cover. But that is all I have for today, guys. So until next time, take care and God bless.